In the ever-turbulent world of the young and the restless, secrets don't just simmer, they explode. And this time, the fallout is unlike anything fans have witnessed before. A shocking DNA revelation sends shockwaves through the Abbott family, leaving Kyle Abbott questioning everything he thought he knew about his identity, his past, and the people he trusted most. At the center of it all is Jack Abbott, a man forced to confront a truth so devastating that even speaking it aloud feels like tearing apart his own soul. And then there's Diane Jenkins, whose long-awaited confession threatens to rewrite history and destroy whatever fragile trust remains in the Abbott family. But the most jaw-dropping twist, a single horrifying question that changes everything. What if Patty is your real mother? The Abbott mansion has seen its share of emotional upheaval, but on this particular evening, the tension feels different, heavier, suffocating. Kyle paces the living room, his thoughts racing. He had been expecting answers, clarity about the strange inconsistencies that had begun surfacing in recent weeks. Instead, he's been met with silence. And now, both Jack and Diane stand before him, their expressions filled with something Kyle has never seen before: fear. Not the kind of fear that comes from external threats or corporate rivalries. This is personal, deeply personal, and Kyle knows instinctively that whatever they're about to say is going to change his life forever. Jack Abbott has faced countless crises over the years. Business wars, family betrayals, personal demons. He's survived them all. But nothing has prepared him for this moment. His hands tremble slightly as he looks at Kyle, his son, the boy he raised, the man he's proud of. How do you tell someone that their entire identity might be built on a lie? Jack's voice cracks as he finally begins to speak. Kyle, there's something you need to know. Kyle freezes. The tone alone is enough to send a chill down his spine. Jack struggles to continue, glancing briefly at Diane, who nods, a silent encouragement that it's time to tell the truth. And then, with a deep, shuddering breath, Jack says the words that will shatter everything. There's a possibility that your mother may not be who you think she is. At first, Kyle doesn't understand. The statement doesn't make sense. His mother is Diane. That's not a question. That's a fact. Stop, Kyle says, shaking his head. What are you talking about? But Jack doesn't stop. He can't, because once the truth starts coming out, there's no way to contain it. There was a DNA test, Jack continues, his voice barely steady, and the results, they raised questions. Questions we can't ignore anymore. Kyle's confusion turns to anger. What kind of questions? Jack hesitates. And in that hesitation, Kyle feels something shift inside him, a growing dread that the answer is going to be worse than anything he can imagine. For Diane Jenkins, this moment has been a long time coming. She has carried this secret for years, convincing herself that revealing it would only cause unnecessary pain, that it was better to protect Kyle from the truth. But now, the truth has found its way to the surface, and there's no hiding from it anymore. Diane steps forward, her eyes filled with regret. Kyle, I need you to listen to me, she says softly. Kyle turns to her, his expression a mix of desperation and fury. Then start talking. Diane takes a deep breath. There's a chance that I'm not your biological mother. The words hit Kyle like a physical blow. For a moment, the room goes completely silent. Kyle's mind spins as he tries to process what he's just heard. If Diane isn't his biological mother, then who is? The question hangs in the air, heavy and unavoidable. And then Jack says a name that sends shockwaves through Kyle's entire being: Patty Williams. Kyle stares at him, disbelief etched across his face. That's not funny, he says, his voice trembling, but no one is laughing. Jack's expression is filled with pain. Diane looks like she's about to break. And in that moment, Kyle realizes the unthinkable. They're serious. Patty is my mother? The words explode out of Kyle before he can stop them. Patty is my mother? The sheer absurdity of the idea clashes violently with the fear rising inside him. Patty Williams, a woman with a long, complicated, and deeply troubled history. A woman whose name is associated with chaos, instability, and dark secrets. How could she possibly be his mother? It doesn't make sense, Kyle insists. There's no way. But Jack's silence speaks volumes. As the tension reaches its peak, Diane finally reveals the full story. Years ago, during a period of confusion and emotional turmoil, There were circumstances surrounding Kyle's birth that were never fully understood. Records were incomplete, details were unclear, and over time, certain assumptions were made, assumptions that were never properly verified. Until now, the recent DNA test was supposed to confirm what everyone already believed. Instead, it raised more questions than answers. The results didn't align perfectly. And when investigators began digging deeper, Patty's name surfaced in connection with events that had long been buried. For Kyle, the revelation is too much to process all at once. Everything he thought he knew about himself suddenly feels uncertain. His identity, his family, his past, all of it is thrown into question. "You lied to me," Kyle says, his voice breaking as he looks at Diane. Diane shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. "I was trying to protect you." But Kyle isn't ready to hear that. Protect me from what? The truth? His anger fills the room, raw and unfiltered. Because for Kyle, this isn't just about biology, it's about trust. And right now, that trust feels completely shattered. Jack watches the confrontation unfold with a heavy heart. He knows Kyle's anger is justified. If anything, he blames himself more than anyone else. "I should have looked into this sooner," Jack admits. "I should have made sure." But regrets won't change the reality of the situation. The damage has already been done. And now, all they can do is face the consequences. As Kyle turns away, overwhelmed and emotionally exhausted, Diane makes one final attempt to reach him. "Kyle, please, no matter what the DNA says, I'm your mother. I raised you. I love you." Her voice is filled with desperation. But Kyle doesn't respond, because right now, love isn't enough to erase the doubt that's taken root in his mind. The revelation about Patty sends ripples through Genoa City. Questions begin circulating, speculation grows, and the Abbott family finds itself at the center of a scandal that could have far-reaching consequences. Meanwhile, Kyle is left to grapple with the most difficult question of all. Who is he really?